The 11th of March, 1946. Nearly 9 months since the end of the war in Europe. Vera is based at the British War Crimes Office in Germany, where her promotion allows her to travel the country to hunt for her lost women spies. Two names stand out. The first is Noor Inayat Khan, codename Nurse. Vera is sent by Major Barkworth an interrogation report of prison crematorium worker Franz Berg. Berg claims Noor was killed, along with 3 other women spies, at the Natzweiler camp in July 1944. A high-level camp designed to disappear French resistance fighters and British agents.
Vera would have been absolutely horrified, and the thought that this could have been Noor as well. I mean, horrified for all the girls, and the fact that maybe this is what happened to Noor is something that really haunted her.
But a warder at Karlsruhe prison, Fräulein Becker, says she remembers Noor being in Karlsruhe many months later.
Yes.
Vera already has an eyewitness testimony from Natzweiler saying that Noor is dead. And now she has another eyewitness testimony saying, no, that is not true.
Noor could still be alive. The other name is Violette Szabo. Violette left her 1-year-old child behind to take up arms, a child whose father had already given his life in the war effort.
Nazis won't know what hit them.
Very good.
Violette Szabo's situation is particularly sad because she lost her husband, who never actually met their daughter, gave birth to a child, and she left her child back with her family in the UK and parachuted into France. So determined was she to keep fighting against the Nazis.
Violette was last heard of at the women's concentration camp at Ravensbrück, a camp from where Vera's agents Odette Sansom and Yvonne Baisden have both returned. So is Violette also alive?
Vera never gives up hope. There's always this little sliver of hope that some of them would be alive. They may be in a terrible condition, but they are alive, or they would have escaped and they will show up. So she keeps this hope in her when she goes, but she is prepared for the worst. And as she is uncovering these stories, Vera is getting hardened. The torture she's hearing about, it is hardening her.
We have arrested an SS lieutenant from a camp north of Berlin.
Which camp?
Ravensbrück.
Thank you. That will be all.
Ravensbrück is Violette Szabo's camp. Is this the stroke of luck that Vera badly needs?
Vera, at this point, is knee-deep in paperwork. She's trying to find her agents among all of this post-war chaos. And the knowledge and the news that she gets that this SS officer is captured and is talking, this is amazing. This means he was there at the same time as her missing agents. He's bound to know something, anything about what happened to them.
SS Lieutenant Johann Schwarzhuber was second in command at Ravensbrück.
Szabo is a very important person for Vera to be able to interview because he holds absolutely crucial information about 3 of the women that she is looking for, that she has since found out were taken to Ravensbrück concentration camp.
This one. She had the name Violette.
And? What happened to her?
All 3 were taken to the crematorium building of the camp. And one by one, they were shot.
How do you know?
I watched.
Vera now has testimony that along with Violette, Lillian Rolfe and Denise Bloch were executed at the Ravensbrück concentration camp north of Berlin.
Vera must have been absolutely shocked to hear this information. She would have clung on to any last thread of hope that the women had survived the camp. And I imagine Szabo would have told her very coldly and plainly what he had done. We do know that in his testimony, he said that he was in admiration for the way that the women bore themselves as they knelt in front of him, holding hands. But Vera's heart must have absolutely broken into 1,000 pieces as she heard of these women who she'd been so affectionate for, who she had really travelled across Europe and in dreadful conditions, trying to find out what happened to them. And finally, she has the evidence that these 3 women were murdered.
Vera personally writes letters for the bereaved families, each one detailing her search for these spies, missing, presumed dead.
Vera would have felt shocked and upset, but to some extent, I think she might have also felt relief. She had closure on this story, and although it wasn't the end she would have wanted or hoped for, she was finally able to tell the families of these 3 women what had happened to them, and they were able to finally understand what their daughters, wives, children had gone through and what they had sacrificed for their country.
Each letter has to be assessed by her superiors to make sure Vera doesn't give away any incriminating evidence.
Vera is in a very difficult position because the fact that there were women agents is not yet common knowledge. They want to keep it out of the public eye because it's a very difficult thing to try and explain to families and acquaintances and loved ones that actually your daughter was sent into harm's way without protection, without the protection of the Geneva Convention or the Hague Convention, without the protection of the British government effectively. They were meant to be completely deniable if they were captured or caught or indeed killed.
But there remain other spies who are unaccounted for. Like Noor Inayat Khan, who, with 2 other agents, was last seen at the Natzweiler camp in the mountains of eastern France. In a few months, the Natzweiler war crimes trial will start, and Vera has been instructed to gather as much evidence as she can, but she can't do it alone. In the spring of 1946, Vera travels to Gargenau, a small town near Karlsruhe. It's here she visits Major Bill Barkworth at a property his SAS unit have commandeered called the Villa Degler.
Vera Atkins, good to finally meet you.
And you, sir.
Yes.
Barkworth has offered Vera the chance to get a witness statement from a former Natzweiler prisoner. A man who worked as a crematorium stoker and is currently held captive in the cellars of the villa, along with other prisoners rounded up by Barkworth's Nazi hunter unit. His name is Franz Berg. Berg's testimony is key to whether Vera can get a conviction against those who ran the camp and may have murdered her women agents.
The next women to be killed by injection. Rather than gassing, were 2 English and 2 French women. They were brought to the cells in the crematorium building one afternoon in July 1944. Me and the other prisoners could see through the fanlight without standing up. We heard low voices. We heard noises of heavy breathing and low groaning. Next to women, we heard the same noises and regular groans, but the fourth, she resisted in the corridor. I heard her say, "Why?" Then we heard noises of a struggle. The mumbled cries of a woman. I assumed someone held a hand over her mouth because she was groaning louder than the others. From the noise of the crematorium oven door, I can state definitely in each case, the groaning women were immediately placed into the crematorium oven.
And what did you find when they brought you back to your work?
We went to the crematorium oven, we opened the doors, and there were 4 blackened bodies inside.
Vera now has a witness statement that she can use at the upcoming Natzweiler war crimes trial. A testimony identifying that some of Vera's agents, including Noor, were killed at the camp. But even with Berg's testimony, this is only one man's recollection. Vera needs more evidence. Vera continues her preparation for the Natzweiler war crimes trial. Thanks to Barkworth, she now has Berg's testimony and other witness statements. But Vera lacks a critical piece of evidence if she wants to convict those who ran Natzweiler.
Vera needed hard evidence. If she wants to bring those perpetrators to justice, she needs to gather enough of the hard evidence that will stand up in a court of law to actually bring them to justice.
Vera needs documentary evidence, something that ties those who ran the camp with her missing agents. So Vera tries to find documents that show which of her agents were murdered at Natzweiler. 4 of her agents were sent there from Karlsruhe prison. Surely Fräulein Becker at Karlsruhe would have kept records.
I need to see your records. Now, please.
We don't have any.
I can't imagine that.
The French. When they came, they destroyed everything. Smashed it all up. All gone.
Fräulein Becker tells Vera that all the prison documents were destroyed by the French. Now, that reeks of a lie. Vera must have known she was lying, because why would the French go to a German prison and just randomly destroy all the records? But she's nowhere finding out unless Fräulein Becker tells her the truth. And how is she going to get her to do that?
Vera chooses to visit Becker again. This time with the SAS. At Karlsruhe prison, Barkworth and Vera confront Fräulein Becker.
Where are they?
Where are what?
The records!
I don't know.
I know you know. Where are they?
I don't know.
Such of it. All of it! You said the French destroyed everything.
They did.
Why would they do that?
I don't know.
Because you lie! Mom! What do we have here, huh? The records. You lie. Liar!
Vera and Barkworth go through the prison records. Every entry and exit from the prison is marked. Vera finds entries that on the 6th of July, 1944, 4 women agents are transferred from the prison at Karlsruhe to the concentration camp at Natzweiler. This corroborates what Berg told Vera about 4 agents who were killed at Natzweiler and whose bodies he burned. Vera now has clear evidence that 4 women agents were murdered. The names are André Borel, Vera Lee, Diana Roden, and Sonia Olshanesky. The 4th name, Sonia Olshanesky, is unknown to Vera. Vera expected to see Noor's name or alias. Witnesses had identified Noor as traveling with this group to Natzweiler. Noor was born in Moscow, so a Russian-sounding alias could make sense. For Vera, Sonia Olshanesky's entry, taken with other evidence, is actually for Noor Inayat Khan. Vera has written evidence that 4 SOE women, including Noor Inayat Khan, are transported from Karlsruhe to Natzweiler and most likely killed there. She can now take the evidence to trial. The 29th of May, 1946. The Natzweiler war crimes trial begins in Wuppertal in the west of Germany.
The Natzweiler trial would have been so important to Vera, and it was her other chance to get information about the women so she could provide that to the families and their close ones, but also to bring these men to justice. This was the most brutal execution, murder, in fact, of these women. It didn't need to be done in such a horrific manner, if at all.
This will be a British-led trial, with Nazis tried on German soil, but under international law. A trial about one of the Nazis' specially hidden concentration camps in the mountains of France.
Natzweiler isn't particularly well known, but it was in microcosm the system of the concentration camps set up in Germany, and in this case in France. It was a camp of 22,000 deaths, around 55,000 people went through Natzweiler, so relatively small compared to some of the other concentration camps in the Reich, but nevertheless a system of tremendous brutality, slave labor, medical experimentation, oppression, violence, a capo system, a terrible, terrible place.
But before the trial starts, Vera receives a blunt instruction from her new boss, Norman Mott.
Vera, everything, and I mean everything, has been done in London to keep this disgusting business out of the newspapers. I need you to ensure that the press's interest is discouraged, and we don't get headlines like British women burnt alive. But do our reputations any good?
I understand.
I suggest you start by getting the names of the dead withheld from the trial.
Their families won't like it, Norman. They want to know what happened.
Too bad. It's a disgusting business which is best buried. Have you got a match?
No.
Yeah. Shame.
The Natzweiler trial would have been a troubling time for Vera, not only because of hearing the dreadful incidences and details of what had happened, but also that SOE was still a secretive organisation. People were not aware that women had been sent into the field in violation of the Geneva Convention. And she probably worried not only if their names got out into the press, what had happened to them, but there was questions start to raised about who had sent them, why had they sent them, why had this been allowed to happen.
After 4 days of hearings, the verdicts are delivered to the accused. Werner Roeder, the medical officer who injected the women, is given a death sentence. Peter Straub, SS officer in charge of the executions, is given 13 years in prison. Later that year, he is given a death sentence. Fritz Hargenstein, the commandant of Natzweiler, is imprisoned for life.
The verdict of the Natzweiler trial was that the 3 men who were on trial for the murder of these SOE women were all found guilty. So in some respects, that's a very positive outcome. She had proved that this murder was unlawful, this execution, as they called it. But then the sentences may have been a bittersweet moment. Did Vera want an eye for an eye at this point? Did she want to see these men suffer and pay the ultimate price? Or was she just happy to have received the guilty verdict? She was a very straightforward woman, and I think she would have been just pleased to have seen these men go down for what they'd done.
Vera secures the agreement of the court that the names of the dead will be withheld from publication. Thanks to Vera's work, the trial fails to create Mott's much-feared newspaper sensation. Vera's role in the affair remains out of the public eye. For now. Vera turns her attention to her final 3 women spies from Karlsruhe who are unaccounted for. Yolande Beekman, Eliane Plumen, and Madeleine Damemont. Vera comes across an interrogation statement taken by American investigators of Gestapo soldiers stationed in the town of Karlsruhe. One soldier, Max Wassmer, recalls transporting women prisoners from Karlsruhe to Dachau concentration camp. The ranks of 3 of the women match those of Vera's unaccounted agents. And Wassmer's detailed description of one woman matches Madeleine Damemont. At Dachau, Wassmer reportedly tells his colleagues that he pronounced the death sentence on the women and that they were then killed. But can Vera be sure? Other Gestapo soldiers claim there were 4 women, not 3, like Wassmer says. They also claim that one of the women came from a completely different prison called Pforzheim, not Karlsruhe, as Wassmer states.
One of the problems that Vera has, and indeed all of the people involved in the war crimes trials have, is the veracity of the witnesses. Because when she got testimony or drawings or verification from her own side, her own agents or people who were also in the camps and said they saw 3 women or 4 women who came into the camp, she can believe them. They may not remember everything, but at least she knows that they're being honest. But when you're relying on the testimony of an SS officer or a capo who's worked in the camp, they're also self-interested. They also want to exonerate themselves. And so it's very difficult often to know if they're telling the truth. And so even though she gets the Wassmer testimony and she thinks she's got some solid information about what's happened to her final 3 agents, she can't really be sure, particularly when then she gets contradictory evidence.
Can Vera trust Wassmer's testimony in the report? Vera has to find Wassmer and interrogate him herself. August 1946. After months of searching, Vera tracks Wassmer down to internment camp number 74 in Ludwigsburg, Germany.
Vera is the only one who knows all 3 SOE agents. She knows them intimately, and Max Wassmer says that he thinks he's identified them. Now, this is a huge big deal because Vera can actually get the man in front of her and determine whether these women were different women or were her agents. And, you know, being there and able to speak to somebody about it, where you know, if you show somebody a photograph, you know when they go, that's definitely the person, or I think that's the person. And it's all to do with intonation. It's all to do with being in the same room as someone. So for Vera, being in the same room as Max Wassmer is really important so that she can interrogate him.
Your name is Max Wassmer, correct?
Yes.
You transported women from Karlsruhe prison to Dachau, correct?
Yes.
And then you watched as they were shot, correct?
No. I handed them over to the guards.
This report clearly states that witnesses saw you take the women to be shot.
Well, I was there, yes. I wasn't present at the end. The guards took the women in, not me. We just did transport.
Then how did others know that 4 women were killed?
3.
The report says 4 women.
It was 3.
How can you be so sure?
Because they gave me a receipt.
A what?
The next day, the guards gave me a receipt for 3 women spies shot dead. We needed it for bookkeeping back at Karlsruhe. Shall I describe them for you? 3 women.
Vasper provides descriptions of 3 women transferred from Karlsruhe to Dachau that match Vera's records of 3 SOE women. Vera has sufficient proof that her SOE agents, Yolande Beekman, Eliane Plumen, and Madeleine Darmemont, are killed at Dachau.
Vera, after interviewing Max Vasmer, now has everybody accounted for. She knows exactly where all of her agents ended up, and there must have been a sort of wonderful sense of completion, but also this sort of tragic pang of knowing that there's nobody left to be saved, and just the horrific nature of their deaths. It must have been absolutely awful.
Vera now believes she has sufficient evidence to account for every one of her lost women spies, alive or dead. She writes up a report for London, closing the case. Of the 39 women Vera sent to war, 27 returned alive. Many after sustained torture. "12 lose their lives at the hands of the Nazis. She encloses draft letters to be sent to the women's next of kin. Details of their names to be completed in London.
It is with the deepest regret that I have to inform you that your daughter was killed in the early hours of the 13th of September, 1944, in the camp of Dachau. According to what is believed to be a reliable report, she was shot through the back of the head, and death was immediate. The body was cremated in the camp crematorium.
Vera does succeed in discovering the fate of the 12 missing women agents. And in that sense, there is closure for her. She has succeeded in discovering what's happened to all of them, but also it means that she can write to the families and personally tell them what's happened. And she carries that for the rest of her life. What you find later in life is some of the children of the agents who died in action actually seek her out. They travel from across the world because she's the one tangible, physical link with those agents. And so she assumes a really important role, not only immediately after investigations, but for the rest of her life. She's the one that carries their memory.
Vera has finally uncovered the fate of her missing women and prepares to leave Germany. With this part of her mission over, Vera will return to England. Now, she must answer the hardest question. How did it all go so wrong? Vera must now uncover why so many of her agents were captured and how the Nazi intelligence service seemed to infiltrate SOE's agent networks so successfully.
When Vera returns to England, there's a niggling doubt in her mind that perhaps they have been betrayed. She has been betrayed. Perhaps there was a spy within the SOE. Perhaps there was somebody betraying them all along. And the most terrifying fear starts to take hold of her, that somebody very close to her, somebody who she has to have worked with at SOE itself, might have actually betrayed her. And she has to start thinking, did I send these agents out to their deaths? Were they being parachuted to or flown to the waiting arms of treachery?
The man who is key to this is the head of Nazi security in France, Hans Kiefer, who is hiding somewhere in Germany. Find Kiefer, and you find the traitor. Vera passes a tip to her friend, SAS Major Bill Barkworth, that Kiefer might be hiding in his hometown of Garmisch in Bavaria. With Kiefer on the run, Vera turns to another leading Nazi to try and uncover how the Germans captured her women agents. He is the man who masterminded the Nazi radio operation in northern France. Dr. Josef Goetz. Goetz worked as one of Kiefer's lead counterintelligence officers.
Dr. Goetz works in Avenue Foch in the Sicherheitsdienst headquarters in Paris, and he's an underling of SS Sturmbannführer Kiefer from the Sicherheitsdienst. And his job is effectively to engage in counter-espionage, to collect the evidence, letters, documents from enemy agents and keep them, analyze them, and then give that information forward back to Kiefer and inform him about what the agents are up to.
There is one thing Goetz is especially good at, which is fooling the British with fake radio transmissions. London was oblivious that agents had been captured and that Goetz was using information tortured out of them to trick SOE into revealing intelligence about the agents' circuits.
It's basically a game that they were playing with the British by sending them false messages through their own wireless transmitters. So when you'd capture an agent, it'd be taken back to Avenue Foch, and they had been interrogated, and their actual transmitter was kept. So that meant that when they gave them the right codes, they could then give false messages back to London and get them to do all sorts of things that they wanted to, make them think that agents were still okay and hadn't been detained, or indeed give them false messages about what was happening in the war that would get passed up the chain to Winston Churchill and affect the war.
Goetz is one of thousands of suspected war criminals arrested after the war. But when it is discovered that he is the radio mastermind at Avenue Foch, he is sent to England for further interrogation.
Funkspiel. That's what we called it. The radio game. London was very bad at it. We would impersonate one of your agents, ask questions, and London would give us the answer with a little slap on the wrist. Please use your security code next time. London was a joke. When the agents we captured knew how much we knew already, well, they simply gave up.
What did you do once the agents were caught?
We interrogated them for more personal information.
More?
Kiefer told your agents that we knew all their secrets already. And if they wanted to live, well, they'd have to collaborate with him.
How did Kiefer know so much? Personal information was never shared by radio.
No, not by radio.
The only personal information was sent
by mail.
Gertz reveals that Kiefer somehow gets access to personal letters that Vera's agents send from France back home to England. Uncoded letters full of private information.
Vera discovers that Kiefer has actually had access to all of the mail from the agents. So they didn't have a chance when the agents are dropped into France. The Germans know exactly who's coming and when. And that realization that the Germans were reading all the agents' mail must have been such a shocking revelation to Vera. And then it leads to the next question: who had betrayed them?
How did Kiefer get the mail?
Kiefer told me that he got it from Gilbert. Yes, I believe that's him.
Gilbert is the code name for French agent Henri Dericourt.
How lovely to see you. Likewise.
The man SOE had trusted with the safety of their agents appears to be a traitor. Dericourt had already been recalled to London by Buckmaster and Boddington after allegations of collaborating with the Nazis. Dericourt pleaded his innocence, and after an investigation...
Don't worry, Dericourt. We'll clear this whole sorry business up.
Thanks, sir.
He is cleared.
Vera is put in a position where she either believes a Nazi or a possible double agent. Henri Dericourt is in the heart of the SOE. He is one of their own. This is a man that she hands over her agents to. How could she possibly believe that he could be a double agent? He was cleared. I mean, surely everybody knows him. But how did the Nazis know so much? How is it possible? And here is Gertz saying, well, you know this. I'm telling you the truth. And it must have been such a worm in her mind. Was Dericourt a spy, a double agent?
So who is telling the truth? Dericourt or Gertz?
One of the problems with trying to tease out a spy is that you have to trust people that you don't trust. And in this case, she's talking to people like Dr. Gertz from the SD. And it's in his vested interest, and has been for years, to play cat and mouse games with the SOE and with people like Vera. And so she has to decide, well, can I trust somebody like Dr. Gertz? So these doubts are also in her mind. What does she really know?
The only way for Vera to be sure is to find the mastermind for all Nazi intelligence in northern France, Hans Kiefer. A man who is on the run, hiding somewhere in Germany. But all of Vera's work comes into question when she receives a letter forwarded by her superior, Norman Mott. The letter is written by Yolande Legrave, a member of the French resistance. Legrave writes that in June 1943, she was arrested by the Gestapo and transferred to Pforzheim prison.
I was able to correspond with an English parachutist who was locked up there also. She was very unhappy. Her hands and feet were chained, and she was never allowed out. I heard the blows which she received from the prison guards. She was taken away from Pforzheim in September 1944. Before she left, she had been able to send me, not her name because it was too dangerous, but her alias. And she also wrote down her address for me. It was this: Nora Baker, Radio Centre Officers Service, RAF, 4 Tavistock Street, London. I kept the address on a piece of paper sewn into my hand.
Noor Inayat Khan had been recruited as a wireless operator from the WAF, the women's division of the RAF. 4 Tavistock Street, London, had once been her family's home, and Nora Baker had once been her alias. Vera believes the prisoner Legrave writes about is Noor. And if Noor had been held at Pforzheim until September 1944, then there is no way she could have been one of the 4 women killed at Natzweiler in July 1944.
When Vera learns about Noor's fate and the fact that she's gone to Pforzheim, it's such a mix of emotions, because here she thought she's written to the family that Noor has been killed in Natzweiler. She has internalized that now, dealt with that, thought there's been some closure, and now this has opened up something else. Could Noor be alive? Did she manage to get out? What happened to her? So she is in a space where now she has to find out the final journey. She has to find out if she escaped. There is a sliver of hope, but also what could have happened to Noor.
So what did happen to Noor? If she wasn't killed at Natzweiler, could Noor still be alive? Vera has to uncover the truth.